Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with a story about standing up to nepotism in the workplace when an overworked bilingual employee faced a lazy assistant manager who happened to be the boss's daughter. Quitting briefly turned the tables. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with a turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. When the boss's daughter met her match, how I turned office chaos into a win for everyone. Except her. When I was in my early 20s, I worked at a small logistics company in Savannah, Georgia. The business handled freight coordination for regional clients, and while it wasn't the most exciting job, it paid the bills. I got the position because I spoke both English and Spanish, which was crucial for dealing with international clients from Mexico and Central America. The office was tiny, just 6 people working out of a nondescript building near the port. Our manager, Dave, was great, hardworking, fair, always willing to pitch in when things got hectic. Then there was Megan, the so-called assistant manager, who was also the owner's daughter. Her title had nothing to do with merit and everything to do with nepotism. Megan was a nightmare. She rarely did any work and spent most of her day scrolling on her phone or chatting with friends. When the phones rang, she would make a big show of being busy or outright demand that someone else take the call. If she ever did pick up a call, it was usually after the customer had been on hold for several minutes. One particularly rough week, I was the only bilingual staff member in the office. We were slammed with calls from Spanish-speaking clients while Megan lounged at her desk, flipping through a magazine. By Friday, I'd reached my breaking point. I turned off my phone, didn't show up on Monday, and ignored every call from the office. The next day, Dave called, begging me to come back. When I refused, the owner, Mr. Thompson, stepped in. He asked me to come in for a meeting, promising to listen to my concerns. Reluctantly, I agreed. When I arrived, I didn't hold back. I told Mr. Thompson exactly what was wrong with the office, Megan's laziness, her refusal to take calls, and how it was killing morale. To my surprise, he didn't argue. Instead, he asked, "What can I do to fix this?" I told him I wanted a raise from $18 to $22 an hour and for Megan to actually do her job. He agreed without hesitation. I left for lunch while he had a talk with her. When I returned, Megan was on the phone with a customer. It was a surreal moment. Dave later told me that while I was out, Mr. Thompson had tried to handle these Spanish-speaking calls himself, and it had been a complete disaster. Apparently, he realized just how valuable I was to the team. From then on, Megan couldn't skate by anymore. If the phones rang and she wasn't busy, I'd nudge her to answer them. The rest of the team backed me up, making it clear we weren't going to carry her anymore. She hated it, but there wasn't much she could do without her dad stepping in, and he clearly didn't want to lose me again. While Megan didn't transform into a model employee overnight, the office dynamic shifted. For the first time, the workload felt balanced and morale improved. I left the job about a year later to pursue better opportunities, but I'll always remember how satisfying it was to put Megan in her place and how her dad backed me up instead of her. At least he did something. But Daddy should have made daughter go work for another company where she had no benefit from his influence. That would prepare her to survive independently far more than this did. And our second story. Let you handle it? Okay, I'll just be over here. I am the video conference audiovisual specialist for a state agency. This means that I assist with any meetings that use MS Teams, WebEx, Zoom, or anything in between, along with troubleshooting any issues with video conference equipment, TVs, Crestron racks, etc. However, if any equipment needs repair or replacement, we have a contract with a third party to come out and investigate. I'm also a mid-30s man, though I could probably pass for 20s, hence the kid remark later. And while I'm not going to win any strongman competitions, I'm 5'11", pretty stocky, and work out regularly. Incident. This happened last week. There was a TV mounted in the director's conference room that's been acting up for the past few weeks. Every time I think I've fixed, it'll bug out again. Either the TV won't power on, or it will power on, but only show a black screen. TV won't respond to any inputs, etc. It may work for a day without issue, but then the next, everything I try won't get working. Basically, the TV is FUBAR. I call up the contractor and explain the situation. He then proceeds to talk down to me like I don't know how to do my job, which already rubbed me the wrong way. Contractor, have you tried this? Me, yes. Contractor, this? Me, yes. Contractor, this? Me, yes. Contractor, okay, well, good news. TV should still be under warranty with this anyway, so we can probably come out and replace the TV. Me, okay, great. Well, give me a time so I can be available to help y'all out. Contractor, we can handle it. We'll be out sometime tomorrow. Me, okay, great. Click. Now, what I had neglected to tell them was that this TV is an 84-inch Panasonic LCD display. It is a beast. Very heavy, 84-inch large format 4K professional display, TH84LQ70U, blue square dot digital. Notice the weight and the full specs? 238 pounds. Next day comes and in walks a 5'5" man in at least his early 60s with very little muscle on him and a tall, lanky dude that I'm not saying was an addict, but I am saying he was missing a lot of teeth, face was pretty scarred, and didn't look particularly fit. No way these guys are getting the TV off its mount. Shorty does the talking here. Shorty, you call about a TV? Me. Yeah, look, this TV's pretty heavy, so you just let me know where you need me to help you get it down. Shorty, no need, we got it. Me. Trust me, guys, this TV's a monster. Shorty then claps me on the shoulder. Look, kid, I've been doing this a lot longer than you, okay? Just leave it to the professionals. Me. Okay, right this way. I lead them to the director's conference room, and they're all cocky smiles until they see this TV and their faces drop. They just sort of stand there in the doorway in a brief, stunned silence. Me. Well, I'll be at my desk if you need anything. I walk off, and the way my desk is positioned, if I lean just enough, I can see into the conference room. I watch for a while as these two pace around the TV a bit, scratching their heads, trying to figure out how to get this TV down. Finally, I see them try and give it the old heave-ho with Shorty standing on his tiptoes, trying to lift this TV off its mount. His face turns beet red, and his arms are shaking pretty hard. They give a few more tries until finally deciding they can't get it. I see Shorty heading my way as I lean forward back to my desk. Shorty, hey man, would you mind giving us a hand? Me, actually some important emails just came in. Points to a screen he can't see that has Reddit pulled up. Shorty, it'll only take a minute. Me, I don't know, I'd really like to leave it to the professionals. Shorty, please. Me, you know what, sure, these emails can wait. Closes Reddit. We walk back to the conference room. I take one side, they both take the other, and all three of us heave this TV off and onto a dolly. They take it off and bring in a much lighter flat screen as a temp replacement. They set it up and pack up to leave. Me, thanks guys. I clap Shorty on the shoulder, and hey, I'm here if you ever need anything next time. Shorty, yeah, thanks. Grumble, grumble out the door. New TV works great, by the way. There is technically a flip side here that these A-hats may have had. If they get your help, their company insurance might not cover any injuries or accidents as you're not their employee, not covered under their workers' compensation umbrella, etc. And our last story. When no means no, calling the police on an entitled neighbor who invaded my pool. In our old neighborhood, my wife and I rented a house in a community with about 23 homes. Out of all the houses, only 7, including ours, had pools. The previous owner of our home had installed the pool when the house was built, which wasn't a cheap addition. Naturally, having a pool made us quite popular, and it seemed like everyone in the neighborhood wanted to come over for a swim. I've always been a pretty generous guy, and I didn't mind neighbors using the pool as long as they called ahead and asked. Most weekends, I'd let people come by, but there were definitely times when I just wanted peace and quiet after a long work week. Then came the new neighbors. A family moved into the house next to ours, a mom and her 3 kids. I hadn't had much interaction with them, but word must have gotten around about my pool because one hot Saturday afternoon, the mom showed up at my door with her kids in tow, all dressed in swimsuits. Entitled Mom, EM. Hi, so I heard you're cool about letting neighbors use your pool. My kids are really hot and need to cool off. Can we come in? I was taken aback by how brazen she was. No phone call, no introduction, just showed up and expected access. Me. I'm really sorry, but I've had a bad day and I'm looking forward to a quiet weekend. Maybe next weekend? She didn't take that well. EM, but the community pool is so gross. I don't want my kids swimming in that nasty water with all those dirty people. That comment was enough to put me off completely. Me, I understand, but I'm really not up for hosting anyone today. The community pool is perfectly fine, though. It's only a few miles away. EM, come on, my babies are sweating and miserable. It's just for an hour. Be a good neighbor. By this point, I'd had enough. Me, I'm sorry, but the answer is no. Have a nice day. She whispered something to her kids, and suddenly they were all pleading with me, their little hands clasped together like they were auditioning for a soap opera. I just shook my head, closed the door, and went back to my day. A few hours later, my dog started barking like crazy. I looked out the window to see EM and her kids in my backyard splashing around in the pool. They'd hopped my fence to get in. The nerve of this woman was unbelievable. I didn't bother confronting her. I calmly picked up the phone and called the police, explaining the situation. When the cops arrived, EM was still lounging by the pool, watching her kids like it was her backyard. I stepped outside to greet the officers and pointed them toward the trespassers. Officer, ma'am, this is private property. You're trespassing. EM, oh, come on, it's just a pool. He's being so stingy about it, and my kids were hot. Officer, that doesn't matter. You entered his property without permission. You need to leave now or we'll have to take further action. She huffed and puffed, but she eventually gathered her kids and stormed out, yelling at me about how I was the worst neighbor ever. The kicker, I later found out she tried the same stunt with other neighbors who had pools, and they shut her down just as quickly. Word spread, and pretty soon she was banned from every pool in the neighborhood. It felt good to set that boundary. Some people just don't know when to take no for an answer. She should have just taken your offer for the next weekend, though. I'm glad she showed her true colors before you let her onto your property. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.